So what are the 10 professions that get sued the most? Hi, this is The Business Guy. I'm the CEO of Asset Protection Planners and Lawyers Limited, which started in 1906 and is the nation's leading asset protection firm. We have attorneys on staff and we set up trusts and companies to put your money into so that when somebody puts a lawsuit in your hands, you can sleep like a baby. Of the 10 most sued professions, number 5 will absolutely shock you and you'll be amazed at how often profession number 1 gets sued. So watch this short video all the way through the end to find out. The 10th most likely profession to get sued are lawyers. It's kind of ironic that lawyers get sued so frequently. Lawyers are often sued for negligence claims and breaches of confidentiality. In fact, we have attorneys calling our offices all the time who need to set up asset protection plans for themselves and their families. Houston divorce attorney Guillermo de la Garza and his firm were sued in 2009 by a client, Randall Mack Hall, for losing documents, according to the Southeast Texas Record. The American Bar Association reports that 4 out of 5 lawyers will get sued for malpractice at some point in their career. 75% of malpractice claims are filed against small firms of 1 to 5 lawyers. In terms of damaging a lawyer's reputation or your reputation, no matter what line of work you're in, requiring extra work hours and incurring costly defense expenses, there are few things that are more daunting than being sued for malpractice. Speaking of practice, if you could practice clicking the like button so YouTube promotes this video, I'd really appreciate it. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button below so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. Despite the obvious negatives of being targeted by a client, the same types of conduct account for most malpractice allegations year after year. Similarly, attorneys who handle a select few key areas of law are more likely to face malpractice claims compared to their peers. As reported by the surveyed insurers Ames and Gow, they identified 4 practice areas that account for nearly all the legal malpractice lawsuits filed, which has been consistent since the survey began. Business transactions, 63%, trust and estates, 55%, corporate and securities, 45%, and real estate, 45%. And again, no matter what profession you're in, if you're worried about a lawsuit, give us a call at 1-954-400-1050 or fill out a free consultation form at assetprotectionplanners.com. Call and speak with one of our attorneys or consultants about setting up an asset protection trust to protect what you've worked so hard for. Number 9 are accountants. Even accountants get sued. First, let's say the books are balanced incorrectly, or when a client gets bitten with an unforeseen IRS penalty. Miscalculations on behalf of the accountant could cost the clients a ton of money and even result in legal trouble for them. And their attorneys may try to hold the accountant legally liable while attempting to compensate for the client's losses. Keep in mind that no matter what profession you're in, if you have money, lawyers will look to sue everyone. Say somebody commits fraud against a client. An accountant's client's lawyer will likely say the accountant should have caught it, and the client should look into suing the accountant. Right or wrong, accountants often get blamed when their clients are defrauded by outside parties. Third-party lenders and other people can sue accountants as well. Did you know that 30% of accounting lawsuits are filed by third parties? If a client goes bankrupt, their lenders, shareholders, and business partners could file lawsuits against the accountant in order to recover their losses. Number 8, real estate agents. Real estate agents are generally sued for breaches of contract and client negligence. Breaching a contract or failing to disclose a defect about a particular property that was sold might end up costing money out of the agent's own pocket. Real estate agents are also known to get sued if confidential client information falls into the wrong hands. Bodily harm that clients may suffer when being shown properties can also result in lawsuits. If you work in this profession, it is further advisable that you don't offer legal advice to your clients because this can get you sued as well. Another common complaint is misleading potential buyers. Number 7, plastic surgeons. The medical liability system in the United States costs $55.6 billion. Botched surgeries involve surgical or procedural errors on part of the surgeon or the medical staff. When such errors are the result of negligence, you can pursue a lawsuit against a plastic surgeon. In fact, I remember one surgeon who called us for asset protection because his nurse administered the wrong drug. The biggest challenge when it comes to malpractice in these types of cases is that if it is cosmetic surgery, surgery. It is elective and not medically necessary. Yet just because you choose to have a certain surgery doesn't mean your rights are non-existent. If something goes wrong, plastic surgeons have a 15% chance per year of being sued. 93% of cases will close with a settlement or dismissal, and 7% will go to trial. Number 6, nurses. Nursing malpractice is whenever a nurse fails to perform their medical duties and their patient is harmed as a result. These failures can include issuing the wrong drug, not speaking to a doctor if a problem has arisen, or neglecting a patient during their time of need. Nurse malpractice claims cost a significant amount. The average cost of a registered nurse's malpractice claim is $210,513. Death remains the most common patient injury that results in lawsuits. It accounts for 40.9% of all malpractice claims against nurses. Unprofessional conduct resulted in the majority of license complaints, 32.5%, made against nurses. Approximately 55% of state board nursing matters led to some type of board action against a nurse's license. Number 5, and this may be a surprise, chefs. You may not immediately guess that chefs are one of the professions that get sued the most. If food isn't prepared properly, chefs are at fault for food poisoning. Breach of contract is also a common case. Another common reason chefs are sued is employment and wage hour lawsuits when the chef owns the restaurant. Liability for drunk driving accidents and slip and falls on the restaurant premises, and health code violations include some of the other major liabilities for food and beverage preparers. Number 4, public servants. Corruption and betrayal of trust are the most common lawsuits that government officials have to face. The liability exposure faced by a public official from wrongful acts also include actual or alleged errors, omissions, misstatements, negligence, or breach of duty in his or her capacity as a public official or employee of a public entity. In Rosenbat versus Baer, the court decided that public officials include not just those in elected positions, but also people who work for the elected officers. Number 3, anesthesiologists. Anesthesiologists are not only one of the highest paid medical specialties, but also have particularly challenging jobs. That is, they are often there in life and death situations where a patient is getting operated on. Moreover, they're often sued for failure to diagnose, failure to treat, patient getting an abnormal injury, errors of medication administration, and failure to follow safety precautions. In fact, I remember an anesthesiologist in Los Angeles getting sued because the patient who was flipped on his stomach was under anesthesia. When flipping over the patient, the medical staff had pinched the plastic line to his oxygen mask when under anesthesia. The patient was asphyxiated and then died. The doctor lost his home. Number 2, general physicians. Physicians are held liable for creating wrong medical records, failure to pursue medical history, and error of medication administration. 62% of specialists report being sued, while 52% of primary care physicians face claims. Medical malpractice lawsuits are frequently filed in courts, and the physician could be on the hook if any treatment they provided resulted in any major medical problems for the patients. Family members of patients who died while under doctor's care also file wrongful death suits. Failure to diagnose accounted for 31% of lawsuits of surveyed physicians, followed closely by complications from treatment at 29%. The top 10 states for medical malpractice lawsuits were Indiana, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, New Jersey, South Carolina, Louisiana, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Maryland. Physicians are also sued long into retirement for medical problems incurred but not discovered for years down the road. And number 1, the most sued profession is an obstetrician-gynecologist. Physicians have one of the biggest responsibilities, and OBGYNs are responsible for the welfare of expecting mothers. Some reasons for lawsuits include injury, improper training, and failure to diagnose. OBGYNs are especially susceptible because of the intense emotional significance of birth. A recent expose by reporters of the Palm Beach Post detailed the many alleged medical mistakes and lawsuits peppered throughout the 30-year career of a Palm Beach OBGYN who retained his medical license until only recently. The watchdog reporting raises questions not only about how he was able to continue practicing on his track record, but also why obstetrics and gynecology specialists have higher rates of medical malpractice claims compared to other experts. According to a survey of more than 4,000 physicians by Medscape, nearly 60% have been involved in one or more medical malpractice lawsuits during their career. For OBGYN practitioners specializing in women's health, that rate is 83%. On average, OBGYN professionals are involved in 2 to 3 big medical malpractice claims over the course of their careers. In fact, the OBGYN featured in the Post article was reportedly linked to at least 14 serious injuries of women and children, including 6 deaths, named in 4 disciplinary cases, named as a defendant in 9 medical malpractice lawsuits, and roughly 1/3 of all medical malpractice cases can be traced back to inaccurate diagnosis. Another 30% are associated with injuries incurred during treatment. Failure to treat, medication errors, and poor documentation are other commonly cited problems. For those practicing obstetrics, the branch of medicine and surgery concerned with childbirth and the care of women giving birth, part of the higher rate can be traced to higher recommendations and performances of C-sections. But misdiagnosis and other errors are far too common as well. Although pregnancy and childbirth are somewhat inherently risky prospects, that doesn't mean that poor outcomes are inevitable. Often the U.S. maternity mortality and birth injuries are caused by medical malpractice, and the emotional tie to childbirth often stoke the fire of OBGYN lawsuits. As a disclaimer, nothing in this video is legal advice. We do have attorneys on staff who may be able to help. So if you want to set up an asset protection plan, give us a call or visit us at assetprotectionplanners.com. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with others. See you next time. This is The Business Guy.